Hey guys, welcome to how to paint green Plaguebearer flesh on a Spoilpox Scrivener. Alright, so I've got him ready to go. Now in the past we've done blue flesh and I think it was red flesh we did in the past on these Plaguebearers, and now we're doing the green. I've had a few people ask me in the past on doing green Plaguebearer flesh, so we're going to do it now. So this video is for you guys that have asked for it. So we're doing the underpainting, overpainting techniques. So here we've got some blue, purple and some red, and we're going to use that red as like an undercolor in the shadows to help give us some variety, and then the greens over the top, so some grass greens into some pale and bright color greens, and give it some nice variety and contrast between green and red. Now normally you don't usually put green and red together, they usually cancel each other out and go grey, but because miniature paints have a lot of pigments in them, you can actually mix and blend these and do them over the top of one another, and they work quite well. Single pigment not so much, but here this should work pretty well. And even if it does grey out a little bit in certain spots, that actually helps for the skin, as we're doing a very rotten sort of skin tone here for the Nurgle boys. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're going to get right into it and come up with something really cool, I think. So let's get started, eh? So to begin with, we're going to use that dark blue and give ourselves a nice dark base to begin the painting process in this underpainting. And so we're just painting everywhere that we want to, get that nice dark blue into the shadows, etc. I'm also painting some of the other elements on the mini, but depending on what sort of mini you're doing will depend on how much of it you do. But it's just to knock back that black and give you something, a color to work with. And so once that's all sorted out, then we move into the other colors. So I started with purple next, and you're just looking to vary up where the shading is. So for instance, in some of the deeper recesses, under the arms, etc., between muscles where you want a deeper, darker color that maybe isn't blue, you can throw some purple in there. Maybe the undersides of some of the mini, like the under the stomach, etc. And just build in a second color. And once that's all sorted out, then we move into the real pop color for this one, which is the red, this sort of dark scarlet red. And for this is the main shadow color for this green color scheme. So we want to see a fair bit of that red around, and you'll see me just placing it in and getting a nice good amount of it near around the face, the belly, etc., all the key areas on the model that you really want to look at, the focus points of the mini. So just placing that in and getting a nice, sort of harmonious grouping of those colors. And then finally, just to add a little bit more pop, we've got that magenta, and that's there just to, vary up that red and add a little bit of almost like a pinkish tone in certain areas, maybe around where the intestines are falling out of the belly, or, anywhere where you think it's going to be interesting, that sort of maybe it's a bit more sort of fresh part of the rotten part of the flesh, that sort of thing. And so then once we've got that down, now we're going to be ready to start that green skin. So you can see I've set up the gradients there of the colors, and we're beginning with that sick green mixed with some blue, and this gives us sort of a darker bluish green color, and that's our base. And so we're just going to go around and paint in all of the muscle areas, etc., all over the flesh, just to give us our nice dark green blue base, and start building it up, bearing in mind that you don't need to paint everywhere. A lot of the deeper areas you can leave that undercolor, all those undercolors that are there. You want to allow some of that to come through, so you're not trying to base coat this. You're looking at the top surfaces of muscles, etc., all of that sort of thing. And once we've got that sorted out, then we do a second base layer, which is with the sick green. And again, we're trying to leave a lot of the undercolors showing through, so you're not trying to just completely annihilate it. You're trying to keep it there so that we get some variety in the shadows and in the color that we're putting down, and that gives us a nice base, a nice canvas to work from. And so now that we've got all that sorted out, now we get into the mid-tone layer, or the main layer, which is this goblin green, which is a little bit more of a sort of a camo green color, I guess, something like that, and a little bit grassy. And so we're using that as our main layer or highlight color to really modulate the flesh. And so we're going to use that slightly smaller brush and pick out all of the raised surfaces on the flesh and give ourselves a nice readable surface. And once you've sorted all that out, then we move into our main first first main highlight color, and this is some of that goblin green mixed with some kraken skin, and so you get a sort of lighter pale skin tone. And this highlight color is our first one in a series, but if you were doing like Plaguebearers, you might actually after this highlight step actually stop there if you were doing like a batch. But because we're doing a character, we're going to move on from this step, and so you're just highlighting all of those top edges, you know, across the muscles, leaving some of the color underneath in the shadows, etc., to give you some nice variation. And so then moving into that next step, now we're using these extra highlight colors because this is a character, and so we've got that kraken skin mixed with less of that green, and so it's almost pure kraken skin, and this is our really sharp, fine highlight, and you're trying to pick out all the main areas, the focal points on the models. That's the face, the hands, the feet, etc., you know, the belly, the trunk that's coming down over the chest, all those sort of main areas of the model, and you're trying to really make those highlights pop. A very small brush, you know, little fine feathered highlights, that sort of thing. And so moving beyond that, we're now getting into our really final highlights, and this is pure kraken skin, almost a spot highlight, and we're just picking out now just the focal point areas, the face, the belly, etc., just those main points, just to get some further bump and contrast on the highlights. And once we've sort of got to a good amount of highlighting there, then we've got our spot highlight. As always, I usually do this for these sorts of processes, and so especially for characters, and so you've got white mixed in with that kraken skin to give us a really bright spot highlight, and you're just trying to pick out the very raised points, you know, the top of the horns on the head, you know, the T section around the eyes there, that sort of thing, anywhere where you really want someone to look at the mini, so the focal points, you know, on the knuckles of the hands, etc., and that'll give you a really nice result. And there we go, some nice green Plaguebearer flesh. Let's take a look. So you can see how it comes out, and where I've left a lot of that underpainting showing through, the reds and the purple, etc., just to really give a difference for those shadows. And I think it really helps the green skin. You get a nice contrast there, and obviously all the other elements on the figure, you know, the red of this sort of trunk, I don't know what that is on the back, the gaping mouth there, etc., you know, to contrast against the green, you know, it all builds up to give you that final look. But in terms of the flesh itself, you know, it's a relatively straightforward process, and then you can vary this up as much as you like. You can add other colors, you can stain it, you can do a lot of that shade colors, as I do, the color glazing, and change a lot of it if you wanted to, or use normal colors and do that as well. It's up to you, but you know, to get to this point is a great way to begin exploring that process of you know, undercolors and overcolors, and how to transition between those so that you get a really interesting finish. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll leave a nice image for him at the end so you can take a look. I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit that like button, subscribe button, it really helps me out, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one.